All right, so you've run the elimination diets, you've choked down those probiotics, you kept the food journal, you're still bloated every afternoon, you're still watching your liver enzymes creep up every time you run your labs. So let me say this plainly. You don't have a willpower problem here, and you don't have three random problems. You have one fire that started somewhere that most people never think to look, and it's where it's spreading next is the part that should get your attention. So I'm Dr. Jones, DC, and I lead the coaching team at our metabolic and functional medicine practice. And the folks that I work with almost always show up the same way you probably did. Exhausted, dismissed, handed a diagnosis that nobody bothered to explain. So I'm not here to talk you out of medicine. I'm here for the part that your doctor didn't have time to investigate and tell you where I think Retatrutide and any GLP-1 medication may have a use that you didn't even think about. So here's what I mean by a fire. Okay, so your gut lining, it gets damaged, and we'll get to how that happens in a couple minutes. It stops acting like a sealed border and it starts acting like a screen door. Things that were supposed to stay inside your gut start leaking into your bloodstream. So your body does what it's built to do. It treats those things like invaders and it lights up an inflammatory fire to fight them off. That's not a gut problem anymore. That's a whole body immune inflammatory response problem. And that just happens to start in your gut. It's the part that nobody connected for you. That fire doesn't just stay put. It travels downstream and it lands on your liver. And that mild fatty liver note that your doctor breezed past is your liver sitting in the smoke. So the bloating, the gut pain, the labs creeping the wrong direction, same fire, one source spreading in one direction. Stop chasing them as three separate problems and the whole thing finally starts to make sense. Okay, so before we go further, if what I just described is your life, our practice exists for this very reason. You can book a free discovery call with one of our patient educators, talk to a real human about what you've been dealing with and find out whether this kind of root cause investigation that I'm describing is a right fit for you. Links in the description or text the number on the screen. But you don't have to do anything yet. So stay with me because the next few minutes are going to change how you see this whole problem. So let me show you how the fire works because I think once you see it, you won't be able to unsee it. And I'm going to show you some visuals here because this is the kind of thing that finally clicks when you watch it instead of just hearing it. So picture your gut lining as a wall. That wall is supposed to be tight. It lets the good stuff, your nutrients, pass through and it keeps everything else locked inside where it belongs. Now the seams holding that wall together, they have a name, and that name matters in a minute. They're held shut by something that your body controls called zonulin. And when that wall gets damaged by chronic stress, by the wrong foods, by an overload of the wrong gut bacteria, those seams, they start to loosen. Now you've got a leaky gut wall, and the things that leak out first is a toxic byproduct of the bacteria called LPS, or lipopolysaccharides. Basically, bacterial debris that your immune system treats like a fire alarm threat. So here's the chain. Leaky wall lets those LPS go into the blood. Your immune system sees the LPS and it lights off the inflammatory fire. And that kind of chronic fire is one of the things that drives insulin resistance. Your body stops listening to insulin, and high insulin levels tell your body to pack more fat away, including straight into your liver. Now, that's 4 steps, and that's the whole engine. Leak, inflame, resist, store. And it starts in the gut, where most people never think to look, and it ends up with fat dripping into the liver that was never the original problem. Now, watch what makes it brutal here. The fatty, inflamed liver pumps more inflammation right back into the system, which appears to loosen the gut wall even more, and the fire feeds itself. We call that the insulin resistance spiral, and it's why this gets worse year over year over year instead of better, no matter how clean you eat. This is also why your insulin resistance, it won't budge with willpower. Think of a full gas tank with a locked cap. This is storage mode. You've got the energy locked in your fat, but high insulin levels won't let you reach it. That's not a discipline problem. That's a chemistry problem. And in the functional medicine model that we use, the gut is the first of 5 root cause systems that we investigate: gut, inflammation, nutrient status, dietary triggers, and the nervous system. For what we've been talking about today, the gut is system number 1 because where the walls leak, it drags the other 4 down with it. Now, here's what kills me. You bring these symptoms to a standard visit and the response is to tape over the warning light, right? Your labs are basically normal. It's probably IBS, right? That's the check engine light coming on and someone putting a sticker over it instead of opening the hood, right? And that's basically normal, is the trap. Standard labs can look fine while the fire is burning for years. It's a silent metabolism killer, doing damage with no obvious symptom until your liver finally shows up on a result and somebody shrugs. So if you want me to break down how we test for and rebuild a damaged gut wall, the specific markers that we run and the order that we do it in, and the new peptides that I'm going to start talking about, like Larazotide, that specifically address leaky gut, let me know in the comments and tell me that that's the video that you want to see next. because I read those comments and the patterns that I see are a big impact of what I film next. Quick minute, I wanted to tell you guys about the Flow Academy membership. Essentially, this is my private community on Mighty Networks. You'll have access to a community coach, live coaching calls that I do, which are unsolicited. I don't have to market like my free lives. I'm just there to help you guys out as much as possible, and a ton of free resources as well to guide you through the various protocols that I talk about in these videos. So all you got to do if you're interested in joining that is just become a member to this YouTube page, and then there's a link that you can access after you become a member that'll allow you to join the community. Now back to the video. Okay, so you're probably waiting for me to say Retatrutide heals your gut, right? But I'm not going to say that because it's not true. Maybe it's true, we don't know. It's quite possible. But I'm not going to tell you something that I think is maybe true as a full truth, right? Retatrutide is not a gut repair tool. It doesn't go in and patch that leaky gut wall. Now, Larazotide, a completely different peptide, absolutely has potential to do that, and there's some solid data that represents that. What it does is something different, and honestly more powerful for the part of this fire that's the most dangerous. The metabolic damage downstream, the part landing on your liver. Remember the loop here. The gut end is where the leak starts, but the liver end, the inflamed, fat-soaked end, that's where Retatrutide does its best work. It's not putting out the fire at the source, it's pulling your liver and your metabolism out of the flames while the rest of the program works on the source. Okay, so here's why it's built for that job. See, most GLP-1s pull 1 or 2 metabolic levers. Retatrutide pulls all 3, and that third one, the glucagon lever, is the difference maker. We call everything that lever does the glucagon effect. So the glucagon lever is built to crank up thermogenesis, pull stored fat out of hiding so your body can use it, and it helps the whole drug go after the exact fat that's strangling your liver, and visceral fat for that matter. That's not appetite suppression, that's metabolic engine. And this is the one place that I'll put a number on the table because it earns it, right? In 2024 trial published in Nature Medicine, the people on Retatrutide saw their liver fat drop by roughly 80%. And in most of that group, the liver fat came down into the normal range entirely. For an organ sitting in the smoke, that's not a small thing. Now, in the whole conversation, I'm not talking about Retatrutide as a weight loss drug. I'm talking about it as an anti-inflammatory, liver fat destroying metabolic tool, something that lowers the systemic fire, pulls the fat off the liver. The weight loss is a side effect of fixing the metabolism, but it's not the point here. But, and this is the honest part most channels skip, Retatrutide is not for everybody, and it's not a beginner move. Running 3 levers at once is more power and more that can go sideways without guidance. That's the Reta trade-off. So here's a real example. Some people who started GLP-1 develop reflux, GERD that they never had before. So while others who've carried reflux for years, watch it, they ease up as the metabolic load comes off. Same drug, opposite directions, depending on the person. That's why running it on a metabolically raw system with no idea which way you'll go is a freaking gamble, and why we run a full panel before anyone touches it. That's also why our philosophy is the lowest effective dose, not the biggest number that you can tolerate. The smallest dose that does the job. You start low and you stay low as long as it's working, and you let the rest of the program carry the load. More is not better here, right is better. And when it's the right fit, this only happens with a real prescription and a provider watching your metabolic markers the whole way. And that's the only version of this that I'd ever stand behind, not something that you wing on your own, and not something that you chase down on your own either. So if Retatrutide pulls your liver out of the fire, what fixes the leak at the source? Because that's the real repair, and it's not the drug. And this is the part that I promised you, the rest of the program. There are 3 tools that I want you to know about for the gut end of this fire, and then the foundation that makes all 3 of them work. So let's take them in order. First up, and mostly directly aimed at the leaky gut issues, Larazotide. Remember zonulin, the thing that controls the seams in your gut wall? Larazotide works right there. And in the studies that we have, it acts on those same seams to tighten them back up and cut down the leaking. It's the closest thing that we have to a tool that targets the actual leak instead of just the smoke. Second, we have a peptide combo here, BPC KPV. Think of this as the calm the fire crew. BPC 157 works to support and heal the tissue. KPV helps quiet the inflammatory signaling, which is why providers are reaching for it to patch the wall and lower the fire at the same time. And third, and this one's the lighter touch, and this one's powerful, low dose naltrexone. This isn't a peptide, it's actually a drug. And in small doses, almost like microdoses, it shows early promise for calming an overactive immune system so it stops screaming at every little thing. It's not the star here, it's a very powerful support. It takes some of the load off of an immune system that's been stuck in alarm mode. There's your triple threat stack, technically a quad stack, Larazotide for the seams, BPC and KPV to calm the fire, and then LDN to settle the immune response. But here's the rule that ties them all together, and it's the most important thing that I'll say in this whole section. None of these tools are going to work on a broken foundation, and the foundation is food, big piece of it. And for most people, we're going to start this with like a 21-day, 1 month or so elimination diet. You pull the foods that are feeding the fire, let the wall calm down, then carefully rebuild. If you skip that, you're pouring expensive peptides into a fire that you're still feeding 3 times a day. That's one of the main principles here, foundation first. These tools are amplifiers. They make a good foundation work better. They are not a replacement for one. And anybody selling you a peptide without asking what's on your plate is taking your damn money. And this is where this whole approach is different. Most programs, they hand you one piece, maybe two, a diet plan or a prescription, and you're on your own to figure out the rest. What shuts this fire down at the source is 3 things working together: root cause functional medicine, advanced metabolic tools like the Retatrutide, and real medical oversight watching over the whole process. Now, most places give you one, we give you all 3 because that's what it takes. So put the whole picture together. Retatrutide on the liver end, the gut tools and your food on the source end, and then oversight, tying it all together. Retatrutide was never supposed to be the answer by itself. It's just one powerful piece of a fire that you starve from both ends. So I got a quick one for you. Describe in the comments how long you've been dealing with this, the bloating, the gut stuff, the labs that nobody can explain, and what you've already tried, because I read every single one of these, and the most common patterns will help influence which videos I put out next. And if this is the first time that someone's connected your gut, your inflammation, and your liver into a picture that makes sense, you need to hit that subscribe button if you're not already, because this whole channel, no hype, is just the stuff that nobody took the time to properly explain to you. And then stick with me here because I want to show you where you go from here. So bringing this all the way back to where we started, remember the person that I described at the top, the one doing everything right and still getting told it's just IBS while their liver quietly gets worse. If that's you, I want you to hear the next part carefully. You are stuck in what I call the gray zone. It's that space where your labs come back normal, so conventional medicine has nothing left to offer you. But you are very clearly not well, but you're not sick enough for them and you're too sick for yourself. That's not a place that you can supplement your way out of. Shutting this fire down from both ends, the liver, the inflammation, the food, the oversight, that's not a YouTube video solution. That's a freaking program. And ours, we call that the Restore Blueprint. It is a 12-month process built and ran by Dr. Allen, our functional medicine expert. It's comprehensive lab work that maps this fire across 5 systems: gut, inflammation, nutrients, dietary triggers, nervous system, weekly visits, nutrition plans built for your gut, targeted tools where they fit, in a real plan that gets you to remission instead of just managing your symptoms. But I'm not going to tell you to sign up for a year-long program from a single video. That's not how this should work, quite frankly, in any process. And you wouldn't be right to trust anybody who did that. So here's the actual first step, and it's a small one. You book a free discovery call. It's a conversation with one of our patient educators, and all you're going to be doing is telling them what you've been dealing with so that they can tell you honestly whether they think this approach is even a right fit for you. That's decision number 1. And then and only then, if it's right for you, you'll have a chance to schedule a comprehensive blood panel analysis where you'll get a chance to get a real scan of what's going on and have a conversation with Dr. Allen herself, where her whole goal is, here's what the problem is, here's what I think is going on, here's how I think I can help you, or not. Right? Because we don't want to work with you if we don't think we can help. Like, that's not the right move. For most people, this is the moment where everything that they've been guessing about for years finally turns into something that they can see. And only after that, once Dr. Allen has your results in front of her and conveys that to you, then you'll have an opportunity to see whether the full Restore Blueprint is right for you. Now, that's a decision that she walks you through after the blood work. Of course, we already talked about that. So there's your path. It's just 3 steps: a free discovery call to see if you're a fit, a blood panel, a Dr. Allen review to see what's going on, and then and only then, if it makes sense, year-long program. Well, we're going to kick some ass and we're going to get to the root cause of your issues. Look, I'm not anti-medicine. This is for the part that they didn't have time to investigate, the root cause underneath the labels. We add the pieces that they're not addressing. That's it. And if you made it this far, you already know more about what's happening in your body than most people ever will. So let me ask you a question. What surprised you the most? That your bloating and your liver numbers were the same fire the whole time, or that the drug that everyone's talking about isn't even the part that fixes your gut? Let me know in the comments. Whatever you answer, the next move is that same small one. Discovery call, the link's in the description, or you can text number on the screen. Stop fighting this fire one symptom at a time. Now, one more thing before you go. A lot of you already are wondering, okay, but how do I even know if my gut is leaking? I made a whole video specifically walking through the mechanisms of leaky gut by itself, more in depth. Check it out right there, guys. We'll see you later.